Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
At Ritual, Mother's Day is kind of a big deal, and we're celebrating accordingly. Find your ritual. If mom needs a bit of stress relief, digestive support, or is looking to support glowy, smooth skin, do it today with 40% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. That's RITUAL.com/podcast for 40% off your first month. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. I'm your host, Andrew Rich, and today I'm joined by a first-time guest here on the show. It's Angry216. Hello, Angry.
Hey, Rich. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
We know each other from the VOW Discord. Now, I asked this to Cola the Lodger when he was on a few months ago. Where does the name Angry216 come from?
Yeah, I remember it was like 2014. I'm like 18, 19 years old on Twitter. And I was like, all right, I gotta like change my username. So it was using it for like an eFed account when I was like a teenager. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna have this Twitter account be like a eFed account anymore. So I was trying to think of like names. I don't know why, but like 19 on me was like, you know what? Angry216. I don't know why I've chose Angry, but 216, obviously, because I'm from Cleveland. So I have to represent. I mean, I live in Columbus now. I've lived in Columbus since 2011, but I grew up in the city of Cleveland from birth to 2011 when I was 16. So I always represent Cleveland in some way. So that's the origin of Angry216.
I was going to say, you never seem like an angry guy to me in the Discord. You always seem very amiable and pleasant to be around. So I appreciate the at least some semblance of an explanation there in that case. But this is actually not your first time on a VOW show. You and Rich Craich did that NBA season preview back in October of last year. And now we're in the postseason. Like you said, you're from the Ohio territory there. So both of our teams made it to the cut there, to the conference semifinals.
Right.
In fact, the Cavs are playing right now as we speak, as we record this. So I appreciate you taking the time here, Angry. So thanks.
Yeah, the season's on the line here. So this is I wouldn't do this for anyone. Wait, who's your team?
The Celtics, man. I'm a
that's
Boston
right.
guy. So yeah. Well, both of our teams made it to the semifinals. So that is a good sign there. Now, we are recording this a week before the episode comes out, so who knows what's going to happen, with the teams. But this might age horribly, but knock on wood, both of our teams make it to the next round there, Angry. So,
I mean, both of our teams at a deficit. I mean, what a tough game. 19 out of 23s. Third quarter for you guys. And then Brunson just going crazy in the fourth quarter. I'm not gonna lie. Like that overtime, Mikal Bridges just ripping the ball out of Jaylen Brown's hands, not even letting him shoot it. I can't lie. That was one of the best moments in the playoffs so far. Like,
It's not fun. It's not fun at all. No. But like you said, there's plenty of more game to play. And, we're being friendly now, but I'm not going to lie. If the Celtics do take on the Cavs in the conference finals, I will turn on you like Naruki Doi. I will give you the old Bakatare sliding kick as soon as I can, man. So I'm warning you right now.
I love the reference because obviously, yeah, Dragon Gate's the company that I watch, and yeah, that reminds me. Have I done any of Match of the Week? I did the one in 2013 where Doi turns on Yoshino and he joins Matt Blanky. I don't think I've done the 2010 one. That might be a future Match of the Week. It's a tease right there for everyone on the Discord. But yeah, I haven't written that up yet. I gotta do that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, that's that. The sports channel and the Dragon Gate channel are the two main ones I see you in the Discord there for sure. But today we're talking about music, and last year I did an episode with Sude Williams called New Japan Epics, where we played songs that were 7 minutes or longer. Today's episode is the opposite of that. This episode is called Undercard Sprints, which means that we are playing songs that are 2.5 minutes long or shorter. I talked about this with Suit, how, the length of a song doesn't necessarily dictate the quality, just as it is in movies and TV and wrestling. There are long matches that are great. There are long matches that are terrible. Same goes the other way. There are a lot of short wrestling matches that are just nothing, forgettable, bad matches or whatever, and then there are short matches that are really awesome. One that comes to mind right away is Kenta versus Ricky Marvin from 2009 Noah, which I think is literally 2 minutes bell to bell on the dot, and it's just full-on, high-speed, crazy action. It's over before you even know it. And you kind of wish it was longer because it's so awesome, but at the same time, I think if it was longer, it wouldn't be the same match. It wouldn't have the same impact. So shorter matches absolutely have their place in wrestling, like long matches do. As always, it all comes down to what you do with that time. Angry.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a classic sprint. Funny enough, the sprints that I always think about wrestling-wise is, remember in like 2017 where, Hiromu and Kushida, where Hiromu just came back from his excursion like months ago, like around like the fall of 2016. Beats Kushida for the title at
Wrestle Kingdom.
Wrestle Kingdom, right. And then they do the rematch, and we're thinking like it's a semi-main event, so we're thinking maybe Kushida might win. Nope. It starts off like fast and furious, and then Hiromu just beats him in 2 minutes. I always remember that. That was such a statement. I feel like that match was another big step in really establishing Hiromu as like the guy in the junior division. That's like one sprint that comes to mind. I don't think of others.
Well, I mean, a great example is a guy like Goldberg.
Yes.
I mean, not a guy known for his long, amazing technical epics. But as far as short matches go, where it's like him versus Raven on Nitro for the U.S. title, or him versus La Parka, and it's just a molten hot crowd who are just losing their mind at this guy just demolishing these other guys, in short order. Super fun, where it's kind of like a Mike Tyson fight. The fun is seeing him get in there and destroy dudes as quickly as possible. And that carried over later on in his career with the later Brock Lesnar matches, where it's just these two juggernauts just colliding for 4 minutes. Some people are just better suited for shorter matches than others, Angry, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm glad you brought up the Raven and La Parka matches, because I feel like when people think about Goldberg matches, like for his career, those are probably two of the matches that come to mind for people. So it goes to what you were saying, that just because the match was like less than 5 minutes, or even in case of La Parka, less than like a minute and a half, that it can have that memorable. It can still be memorable. I mean, I'll never forget. Like again, when WCW happened, I was like 3. But I remember the first time I saw that match on like YouTube, where La Parka smashes his head in, like legit, like hard, like no gimmick, like just straight up like domes him. Goldberg then just destroys him. I think he also, I think La Parka tore his ACL. So that's also funny too. If you watch the clip, you'll see him as Goldberg picks him up, he's like holding on to his calf. So poor La Parka. It gets creamed and then tears his ACL.
Well, the best part of that match is he hits him with the chair, sees there's no effect whatsoever, and immediately struts away.
Yes.
That's the best part of it all, for sure. But
it's like if I dance, he's gonna it's gonna do something to him.
Yeah, I'm getting my shit in, brother, no matter what happens. So yeah, for sure. But all right, let's get to the music here. We have 8 picks each, and play out song at the end. Angry, you are the guest. You'll go first. What's your first pick?
All right, my first pick is B intro quotation parentheses by Common. This is the intro to his album B in 2005. I picked this song because I feel like it's a great intro to what is, I think, a classic hip hop album. I think it's also one of Kanye's best beats because Kanye West produces this entire album, including this song. But there's something very like timeless. It feels very like Chicago. I've never been to Chicago. My wife has been, but I think whenever people have talked about like this particular song or this album, I've heard people say that it feels like Chicago. And there's something like whimsical and very like classic whenever you hear the beat and then when you hear like Common rap on it. So I picked this because that was like the first thing that came to mind. It's probably it's probably my favorite song on that album. That album's great. But I feel like it encapsulates what an intro should be, which is gives you the tone of the album and it leaves you wanting more.
I wanna be as free as the spirits of those who left. I'm talking Malcolm, Coltrane, my man Yusef. Through death, through conception, new breath and resurrection. For wrongs, new steps in a direction in the right way. Told inside is where the fight lay. And everything a nigga do may not be what he might say. Chicago night stay on the mind, but I write many lives. They lay on these lines, wait the signs of the times. Many say the grind's on the mind. Shorty's blunted out and everyone wanna rhyme. Bush pushing lies, killers immortalized. We got arms but won't reach for the skies. Waiting for the Lord to rise. I look into my daughter's eyes and realize I'ma learn through her. The Messiah might even return through her. If I'ma do it, I gotta change the world through her. Furs in the bins, Gramps wanting them. Demons and old friends, Pops, they hunting them. The chosen one from the land of the frozen sun.
Yeah, just awesome. I also like too how it builds up. Like the first like 30 seconds is just a build up to eventually when the beat kicks in and then you hear that. I mean, you would know the instrument. I think that's horns. But then yeah, it's almost like it's like a groundswell. And then I like how Common just comes in and I feel like he establishes the album and doesn't waste any time. He's flowing on it so well. And again, yeah, this is like, Kanye makes a lot of great beats going, after 2005. This is probably like my favorite time period. Like once Blueprint happens, because like Blueprint, so it's Jay-Z's album in 2001. That's really what put Kanye on the map from a music standpoint. And then after that, just the amount of noticeable songs that he did from 2002 to now to this point, including his own stuff. I think this is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was looking up songs to pick, I did the obvious thing and went to my iTunes and sorted by length. And, the amount of tracks that were just intro songs was quite a bit, The difference, though, is that I think this still feels like an actual song in and of itself, as opposed to just an intro. Like Common squeezes in the musical intro at the start there, and an entire rap verse, into 2.5 minutes, as opposed to just other intro tracks where it's like a minute of music, and then it segues into, the actual album opener there, Angry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that, where, again, it's one of those things that you were talking about earlier, where even though, like, it may be, like, 2.5 minutes, doesn't mean that not only the quality isn't there, but also, too, like, it's not filler. And I agree with your point. Yeah, it's an entire verse, and again, like Common just sounds so good on it. Like it's a perfect like a match with what it feels like. Kanye perfectly gave the perfect beat for the intro, and Common gives the perfect verse to get us into the album. So yeah, I mean it's great. Also, I just love that beat. That beat is so good.
It's great backing music for sure. Very soulful. It's not just like hard gangsta beats. There's a soulfulness to it, and it did bring me back to a wonderful time when Kanye West was this rising star, and not the guy he is nowadays. Sadly, so that was just to go back to those fond days for sure. But but my first pick here is also an intro, literally called Intro. This is a band called the XX. This is from their self-titled debut album from 2009. So let's hear Intro. So I think a good intro clip, it sets the tone for the rest of the album, and that's what this song does. The whole album has those chill vibes. It's not intense at all. Just kind of washes over you. Now, even if you've never heard of the band, chances are you've probably heard this song, because it's been used in so many TV shows and commercials over the years. I think those flowy beats and the wordless vocals that come in later on, they make it perfect for some instrumental mood music. So I really like that intro there, Angry. So
yeah, like I was like, I said this sounds familiar. I actually I looked up, they're a British band, which I wouldn't have expected, and I kind of like how it feels like this song could have been made now, because I saw that this song was made in 2009, so we're talking almost, it's weird to think of 2009 being like 16 years ago, almost 20 years ago. But there's something, I really liked how, like you said, it kind of washes over you. I think similar to what we were talking about with the Common song, seems like it kind of slowly builds you into it, like it's building the ambiance, and it's like with the dun, 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 and then it starts coming in a little harder. So I do really enjoy it. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was like, I know I've heard this song from somewhere. It's probably from some type of TV show that I can't remember. But
yeah, the funny thing is, I'm not even like a big XX fan. I just really like the intro. Like I listened to the album and I was like, yeah, it's fine. But if the whole album was just like 35-40 minutes of this intro in a loop, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's go, come on. So it's just funny how that works out that way. But all right, what's your next pick there, Angry?
All right, my next pick, if I had to check, this Hello Brooklyn by the Beastie Boys. This is on their album Paul's Boutique, which is funny at this point. I think that's considered the best Beastie Boys album to most. What's interesting is when that album came out in 1989, it was actually seen as like a failure. Mm-hmm. People were like, this is weird. Like what are all these samples? What are all these beats? And yet it took like a couple years later for people to then turn around and be like, man, this is pretty great. And this is actually pretty ahead of its time. This album's actually the reason why sampling costs a lot of money, because I think the Beastie Boys crammed in like over 200 samples or something like that. And then once this album got popular, the music studio was like, wait a minute, hold on a minute. They put how much of this in there? And we don't get how much money from this. So what's interesting about this song is that technically it's part of one whole song called the B-Boy Bolo-esque. because at the end of the album,
Bouillabaisse.
the bouillabaisse, yes, which is a term for like if you're like in New Orleans and they're trying to make some type of like seafood or a fish, and it doesn't like work out. So what they do is they just cram it all in and make it into one. So technically, if you get the vinyl, it's 12 different songs that they didn't like necessarily finish, but they just decided instead of scrapping them, we're just going to put it all into one. And so Hello Brooklyn is one of those like 12 quote unquote mini songs that it's a part of.
New York, it's a hell of a town. You know the Bronx is up, and I'm Brooklyn down. Because they don't know my name, only know my initials. Building bombs in the attic for elected officials. I quit my job, I cut my hair. You know I cut my balls because I don't care. You tried to get slick, you bust a little chuckle. You're gonna get smacked with my gold finger knuckle. Venus flies me, something that you never thought of. You'll be sticking up old ladies with a handgun. Sort of. I'm a Buffalo soldier. Broader than Broadway. Keeping on. I don't care what they say. I got my stereo loud. I disturb my neighbor. I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor. Cause I am the holder of the three-pack bonanza. If you open the book, then you will get your hands up. I am the keeper of the three-pack bonanza. If you ask a question, then you will get your answer. I saw, I reached, I fell. M-O-N-E-Y, the bell. I stay at home, just like a hermit. I got the Jimmy, but I don't got the permit. You know why? You got a boyfriend and his name is Nick. Annabelle.
Yeah, classic Beastie Boys. I respect how, they make an album like License to Kill. Obviously, it puts them on the map. It makes them huge stars. And there's something respectable about them being like, we don't want to do something like that. We want to do something different. It actually caused a rift between them and Def Jam, and they actually leave. Like, I was trying to think of that. Like, could you imagine any like current artists like getting big off like one particular album, one particular like song, like again, like No Sleep to Brooklyn was like everywhere, or Fight for Your Right, and the Beastie Boys were like, we don't want to be defined by this. We want to actually try to push ourselves, and it eventually paid off. Like I said, at first, like I said, this album was so poor that they couldn't tour it, but then like a couple years later, but yeah, I mean this song, I mean you can see why. Like it's so experimental, like. That bass, like when it first comes in, is just in the car is so good, and I mean it's classic Beastie Boys. It's them experimenting, and I respect that they were experimental. I feel like this song kind of depicts where they were at this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. I talked last episode with Damon about George Michael going in a different direction after Faith came out. Again, this is another example here of something like that, where you're going from the juvenile rap rock of License to Ill to Paul's Boutique, which, yeah, as you said, is this very dense sample palooza. It's a huge jump, and the fact that there are so many samples from so many different sources and genres of music on there, it tells people that the Beastie Boys are more than just, this novelty white rapper thing. Their knowledge and their talents extend a lot deeper than that. And they proved that a lot over the years too. So, but yeah, Paul's Boutique it's where they first show people like, what they can properly do, I guess, Angry.
Yeah. And like you said, it eventually pays off for them as their career goes on, because even like those three, like they do so many different sounds and albums after this, like Ill Communication, some of the, like, you get to like Hello Nasty, and again, I think that's what probably makes them such a not just a legendary trio, but also what makes them like timeless is that you can't say that they're not just the guys who did you gotta fight for right to party. They also are the guys who did Hello Brooklyn. They're also the guys that did Intergalactic. I mean, those are like, from a sound standpoint, even from a rapping standpoint, very different. And the fact that they were both willing to do that and talented enough to successfully do all three, I think kind of speaks to, like you said, their talent, and also too just their like determination and their like ambition to be more than what more, because they could have made a whole career just being the guys who are like the juvenile guys. They could have done that, and it probably would have given them some success, and they probably would have had maybe a shorter shelf life. Them kind of branching out and taking risks like this song, this entire album is what leads to them having the success they had, I think.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. We're actually just a few days out from the 13th anniversary of MCA's death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy there. And that's been it. Once he died, the band was done. They haven't, Ad Rock and Mike D, they have not done anything else outside of, documentary and, compilation albums. But there's been no new Beastie Boys music since MCA's death. So they've stuck, to their guns and said, you know what, that's it, we're done. So, good on them. Yeah.
And that makes sense because MCA was a huge part of, like, you just can't take any of the three out. You take Ad Rock out, it's not the same. You take MCA out, it's not the same. So it makes sense that once he passed away, they were like, we can't like replicate this anymore. I guess the modern example would be like with Migos, right? Like, I mean, to be fair, like Quavo and Offset have other beef, but I mean they haven't been together on a song since Takeoff passed away because it just wouldn't be the same with Takeoff gone. Like that trio is now like forever like inseparable. Mm-hmm. I mean forever like changed,
Mm-hmm. All right, my next pick here. This is a band that I am a big fan of. This is Queen, and I picked a song off of their third album, Sheer Heart Attack, and I went with a song called Stone Cold Steve Austin. Wait, that's a different guy. Sorry about that. No. This is Stone Cold Crazy.
Rainy afternoon, I got a blow a typhoon and I'm playing on my slide trombone. Anymore, can't I take it anymore? Gotta get away from this stone cold crazy. Stone cold crazy, shooting people that I mean with my Robert Tommy water gun. Here come the deputies, gonna come and get me. I gotta get up and run. They got the sirens loose. I ran right out of juice. They gonna put me in a cell if I can't go to heaven. Well, they let me go to hell. Crazy, stone cold crazy,
Yeah, that song just rips from start to finish. I mean, I know Queen is known for their pretty bombastic and over-the-top songs at times, all the layers and the harmonies. But this is like a machine gun blast to the face from start to finish, as Freddie Mercury says in the song, hit 'em hard. And this is just everybody playing as fast and hard as possible. It's pretty awesome. And I know Metallica did a cover of this song, which makes sense because this song is considered one of the earliest examples of thrash metal and speed metal, and it's Queen, for God's sake. It's crazy to think that, but still, it definitely lays the groundwork for bands like Metallica to come in later on. I agree.
Yeah, this is also like an interesting time for Queen because this is like, I think a couple years after Mercury. This album came out in '74. It's like a couple years after like Mercury gets on the band, and this is like a couple years before Bohemian Rhapsody. Cause I feel like for this album, the song everyone knows is probably Killer Queen, right? On this, that's probably the number one.
That's probably number one, but it's also got Now I'm Here,
yes.
Which is also good. Brighton Rock.
Yeah.
In the Lap of the Gods, Revisited. Yeah, a bunch of great songs on this one.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like this song kind of fits like the tone of the album. Like if you even look at the album cover, like it's just them in a black room. You get it's like the bold red letters, like. I kind of appreciate albums and songs like this where it's like right before they get big, and like you said, like because I feel like after this we don't get like a song as like you said as thrash or like intense as like this song. not that the songs later on are bad, but yeah, it's just as they get old, as they get older and they get bigger, like you said, it takes them more bombastic. But this kind of feels kind of like, I feel that way about Killer Queen too, where it feels very like stripped down, and it almost feels like them on the come up. That's what it is. They were on the come up. So I'm glad you picked this song because I feel like, in general, I feel like this album of theirs is probably underrated at this point, right? Like, again, because it's like 74. I guess what would be like consensus? I guess you're a big Queen fan. What would you say is like their best album?
I'd say this is the start of the run because the first two Queen albums, there is more of a rawness to them. And I would say, especially with Queen 2, there is a lot of like songs about, kings and queens and fairies and this kind of, Fantasyland kind of stuff. And they kind of get rid of a lot of that by the time we get to this album here. And especially once we get to A Night at the Opera, that's when we're off to, the big time there with Bohemian Rhapsody and You're My Best Friend and all those songs. So this album is definitely like the start of that big run for sure.
Yeah.
But I do like how even in a song like this, you still get the cheeky Queen lyrics, because it's mainly about like gangsters and Al Capone, but you still have lines like smelling like a dry fish bone and rainy afternoon, I gotta blow a typhoon and I'm playing on my slide trombone. Here come the deputy, he's gonna come and get at me. I gotta get up and run. Just these really quirky lyrics to let you know like it's still Queen at the end of the day, Angry. So
yeah, it feels like, especially with what we know to come. Like I even think about Bohemian Rhapsody. Like some of that's kind of, I wouldn't say trash, but some of it trash metal, but some of it is like there is some metal aspects to, especially towards the tail end of that song. So it's kind of cool to again go back and you hear a song like this, you can kind of see how they're kind of sharpening the sword to what it is kind of like a precursor to like what's to come, like the potentials here. Like you said, it's the start of the run.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, what's your next pick there, Angry?
All right, my next pick, I went kind of unconventional. Find Me Here by Hayley Williams. This is technically part of like the extended version of her only album in 2020 called Petals for Armor. And I remember when the album came out, it came out like a month or two after COVID hits. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like Paramore hadn't made a song in a bit. And all of a sudden Hayley comes out with like this album and like, these songs. She has blonde hair and she just gone through a divorce. So a lot of this album is kind of talking about kind of like the backlash and like her feelings about that and like the stuff that's going on in her life. She had a lot of mental health. And so, yeah, I feel like this is like an album that kind of slipped under the radar for a lot of people, especially for someone as popular as Hayley Williams. And I think it's like a fun, little thing that happens in her like discography, especially considering like a year or two later, Paramore comes back. So I kind of like it. It's like, before we go back to what people know, I'm gonna make this album about stuff that's going on in my life, and it's gonna be kind of raw. It's not gonna be exactly what you think. It's not gonna be feel good in some way, in a lot of ways that you may think when you associate with Hayley Williams. But it's one of those things where I appreciate. And I think this song is a good illustration of where she was at the time.
No one can hold your hand. Now through the delicate darkness you go. If I trespass even one step, it all just disappears. Clock starts over. As long as I am loving you, you'll never be alone. Long as you keep wanting me around. This is one trip you're gonna have to take alone. When you come back, you'll find me here where I belong.
it's just a very somber song that I think, and like I said, this album is very somber. That I think displays Haley's talent. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about like a year ago or whatnot. I was like, I feel like Hayley Williams is one of the more influential artists in the last like 10, 15 years. In the standpoint of, I think I use a wrestling term. You know, Conan, when someone who's like super charismatic, he refers to them as having like an angel on their shoulder. I feel like Hayley perfectly describes that because I think she's one of the few artists where like every demographic like likes Hayley Williams. Like you think of like, I'm African American. I can tell you a lot of black people really like Hayley Williams. A lot of teenagers like Hayley Williams. Teenage boys, teenage girls. A lot of adolescent boys and girls like Hayley Williams. Adults like Hayley Williams. Kids like Hayley Williams. So it's like one of those things where you can't really describe like what is it about her that really gravitates to like everyone. And so that's why I think I really enjoyed this song, is because, again, just for someone who's known for a lot of energy, super charismatic, to kind of strip it down and yet still produce something like a quality. It just goes to show that, again, I think this is a very like special and unique musical talent.
Well, I also like Hayley Williams. We have that in common, at least, for sure. And I like Paramore, too. I'm a Paramoron, you might say. So I'm not really used to hearing, Hayley Williams in that folky style, which is what, this album is and what the next album is as well. I'm more used to that Paramore stuff, the rock and synth pop stuff. So it is a bit weird to hear her do this, but it's still her. It's still her lovely voice. And at the end of the day, it's also still a solo album. And when you get to do a solo album, you can stretch out and maybe do music that you normally wouldn't do in the band with the other members there. So, if I'm being honest, I do prefer Paramore than this kind of style with her, but still, she's got a great voice for sure. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that I prefer her being the front woman on Paramore, running up and down on the stage. I think it's similar to like the Beastie Boys thing, where I think I appreciate when these artists who are really good at that type of bombastic, super charismatic style are also like, you know what? I'm more than just that. I want to show people, hey, I got a little more in my repertoire too. So I feel like when she dropped this album, again, it caught me off guard. And then afterwards, I was like, all right, I've gained like a even more of an appreciation for her, because this album showed me that, okay, she can do that. I agree with you. Like, I appreciate the Paramore stuff more. But yeah, it's just good to know that like someone's like, I got this in my bag too. I can do this as well. Similar with the Beastie Boys. And I feel like those risks that those artists take, I think, do pay off, because it gives like a broader picture as to like how good they are at what they do.
Mm-hmm. All right, so my next pick here, this is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and I went with a song from a soundtrack that they did for a movie called She's the One from '96. This is a movie with Edward Burns, Jennifer Aniston, Cameron Diaz. I've never seen the movie, but I do know a few songs from the soundtrack here. And I went with a song here called Angel Dream No. 4.
I dreamed you, I saw your face, cut my lifeline when drifting through space. I saw an angel, I saw my fate. I can only thank God it was not too late. Over mountains I floated away, across an ocean I dreamed her name. I followed an angel down through the gates, I can only thank God it was not too late.
Yeah, just a beautiful song there. One of Petty's more low-key ones. And there's another version called Angel Dream No. 2 that's a little slower and even more sparse, but I prefer this one with the strings in there and just the melody of it all, the kind of the clappy percussion beat in there, and just how effective it is. You know, I think a good lesson from this episode is how effective a song can be despite the length, and this song really kind of tugs at the heartstrings despite how short it is, Angry, for sure.
Yeah, like, you're talking about Tom Petty, you're talking about one of the greatest of all time. So, you know, anytime you hear anything from him, it has like that kind of a gravitas. That's the thing I thought of when I was thinking about this song. I mean, I have seen that movie. It's a good movie. I haven't seen that movie in a while. I don't know if the wife has seen it. I mean, that's a movie to go see. But yeah, I mean, it fits the tone of that movie. And yeah, like, I agree with you. Yeah, there's something very like, I was gonna say like romantic, but yeah, like it's very soft, and again, like the way he's like laying down the vocals is so good and so like moving. And again, maybe it's just because it's Tom Petty, because he's a legend. But there is like an added like gravitas, like you can kind of feel like the part in the movie where this song plays, like it does add to like kind of the weight. I feel like that's what whenever I listen to Tom Petty, I think of that. Like, there's like a certain, like, he commands your attention. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that's like his presence, but I feel like this song kind of encapsulates that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember discovering this song a few years ago when I was listening to satellite radio. And I think it might have been on the Deep Cuts channel, because this is a deep cut. And I'm glad there are channels like that out there, because it lets people find these amazing songs that, you know, weren't singles or weren't on the big albums. So if you still have satellite radio, I recommend, you know, listening to that channel, because you'll find some good stuff on there for sure. But
yeah, I think that might be the theme right now of this current episode, is that I think a lot of the artists that we've shared have had bigger hits, and what we've shared is a lot of like the deeper cuts, the kind of like underrated gems.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right, what's next there, Angry?
All right, the next one is by The Hates, called So What. I have a funny story of how I know this song, because I know this is something you and I have in common. So there was a little show that came on in the 2010s on AMC. I think you know where I'm going with this. Called Halt and Catch Fire.
Yes.
Which I think is, I've called it to people as the best show that no one watched in the 2010s.
I watched it, baby.
And
every damn episode. I was there from day one. Come on now.
Same. I know. I was like, I know you would like this. And yeah, season 1, like they're clearly figuring it out. But then once we get to season 2 and they change it to an ensemble, we're off. And then season 3 gets better. Season 4 is even better. If you look on Spotify, Rich, if you look up any of the Big Four's character names, there's a playlist for all of them. And this one is predictably, this is on Cameron's playlist, which was Mackenzie Davis's character. And at the beginning of the playlist, like, you'll hear it, like, there's like a brief, like, 2-minute, like, audio of like the producers and the creators talking about, like, you know, who the characters are, and like the music that they listen to, and like how it like embodies them. And so, and, you know, Cameron throughout the show is constantly like listening to music on her Walkman. It's a lot of metal, and so this is one of those songs that I think is in one of the episodes. I forget, but that's where I first discovered this song like a few years ago. So yeah, that's how I actually came to knowing the song. yeah, it's a song that perfectly describes the character. And yeah, I don't know, like I appreciated like discovering it because I like to expand. Like growing up, I listened to like a lot of different stuff. That's why like it's actually on my playlist. So like that's why the wife, whenever she looks at my playlist, she's like, "Listen, how do you go from this song to go to like Ray Charles?" And which is like, but no, like if you ever watch Home Catch, not that I feel like we're advertising for the show, but we should. If you've never watched it, you should watch it. If you ever watched this show, or if you have watched this show, like this song perfectly describes Cameron, who's my favorite character. Very rebellious, very headstrong. And yeah, just very much like I don't really care what people say about me. Like I'm driven, especially when we get to season 2, where she is like she's like one half of she's one half of the boss of like running like this company called Mutiny. And yeah, she still maintains that kind of punk rebellious attitude as she's also learning how to be a boss and how to run a company. So I feel like this song perfectly describes that, and I like it.
Yeah, I think it's only fitting that we have at least one punk song on this episode. And I had never heard of The Hates before, but I knew right away that this was a punk song before even playing it, because they're called The Hates, for God's sake, first and foremost. And, I'm not the biggest fan of punk music in the world, and this type of punk isn't for me, but I will say the full title of this song, So What If Your Mother Kicks Me in the Nuts,
yes,
did make me laugh. So there is that, Angry, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, like, same thing, where, like, this is not, like, the punk I listen to, but, I guess I think of it in the lens of how I discovered it. And I'm like, yeah, I totally see Cameron just, like, walking around, listening to this. Like, this fits her to a T.
Mm-hmm. I looked up the band. They're from Houston, Texas, and they're still around. They're still touring. It's one guy left, the founder, Christian Kidd. And he has 2 younger guys with him there. And their logo is amazing. It's like an evil version of the Kool-Aid Man with scary eyebrows and a scary smile and spike wristbands. It's amazing. So
I gotta look at one. I didn't know they were still around. That's incredible. It's only one person from their found. I gotta look up this logo afterwards. This sounds incredible. I mean, this sounds exactly what you would expect from a punk band.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, I played Queen earlier. Now it's time to play the King, Mr. Elvis Aaron Presley. And looking at Elvis's oeuvre, there are a lot of songs I could have gone with. He has a lot of short songs. I went with one that came out in 1968 as a single. It was on a 1970 album called Almost in Love. This is A Little Less Conversation.
Conversation, a little more action, please. All this aggravation ain't satisfaction in me. A little more bite, a little less bark, a little less fight, a little more spark. And close your mouth and open up your heart, and baby, satisfy me. Satisfy me, baby. Baby, close your eyes and listen to the music and dig to the summer breeze. It's a groovy night and I can show you how to use it. Come along with me and put your mind at ease. Hey, a little less conversation, a little more action, please. All this aggravation and satisfaction in me. A little more bite, a little less bark, a little less fight, a little more spark. Shut your mouth and open up your heart and baby, satisfy me. Satisfy me, baby. Come on, baby, I'm tired of talking. Grab your coat and let's start walking.
So I've never been a massive Elvis guy, but that's one of my favorite Elvis songs for sure. I love the swagger of it all. Not just with Elvis, but the music as well by the Wrecking Crew. Mm-hmm. That drum work, the guitar, that bass line, doom, doo, 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 doom, 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 doo, and the horns and the background singers and the chorus there. All the elements are so on point. And it's funny, the core of this song, the message, is Elvis telling this lady, can we just have sex already?
Yeah.
Can we just stop with all this talking and arguing and procrastination and just get down to business? A little less conversation, a little more action, please. A little more bite, a little less bark. Shut your mouth and open up your heart and baby satisfy me. So, yeah, is it respectful to women? No. Was Elvis himself respectful to women in his day and age? No. Do I still like the song? Yes, I do. I can't lie. It's a pretty great song, Henry.
Yeah. Elvis is like, listen here, Toots. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. But yeah, it's funny. Like the first time, it's like the first Elvis song I ever heard growing up. I remember hearing like there's like a faster version of this song that for a while I thought that was like the original version. I feel like that was like a remaster that came out maybe in the 90s. But yeah, this is like towards the end of his life. Like he passes away like a year later, right? 71, 72?
No, he dies
or this was
77, I believe.
Oh, he's got a long.
He still has a few years to go, yeah.
Yeah, a few years. Yeah, so I actually just went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame again because it's in Cleveland, but I hadn't gone in like 15 years, so it felt like a new experience. And they have like a whole room like just dedicated to Elvis. And yeah, this is one of the songs that plays during that. But yeah, like I like what you're saying, like with like the swagger, because I feel like that kind of emphasizes like Elvis to a T. Like he's just so charismatic, such a larger than life character. Especially as he gets older, where he starts, like all like the outfits and the bravado, like his mannerisms, and yeah, I feel like this is one of those songs where like, yes, it may be disrespectful to women, but like Elvis can pull this off because he's Elvis, like he's charming, he's charismatic, and I feel like that shines through in the song of like again just someone who, there's a reason why there's a lot of people after he passed away. Imitate him. There's a reason why that's like a big deal. Like that's like a big thing that happens in this country because of who he was and like his, as the kids would say, his aura.
Yeah, I mean, he would have been 90 this year, if you can believe it. He was only 42 years old when he died. But yeah, you talk about like being an absolute juggernaut, not just in pop culture, but like culture in general. Elvis is one of the biggest and most influential and impactful figures of all time. I don't think young people really understand just how massive, kind of like Beatlemania, just how much of an icon he was and still is. I mean, even decades after his death, it's still Elvis, all capital letters. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be, in a couple of years, it'll be 50 years after his death, but people will still be worshiping Elvis for I think a very long time to come. Angry.
Yeah, that's why I agree with. That's why I was saying like, even though like I didn't grow up, obviously I was nowhere near when he was born. Just the fact that like he still lives through like people that was around that time, like that just it goes to show you how like timeless he was and how much of a presence he was. That people like that are like they will always just be around just because of. Again, there's just so many layers to his life, and you're talking about even like some of the stuff with his wife, and I mean there was a movie that just came out about that. But yeah, like someone that magnetic, like there's so many layers to him, and I think there's a reason why people just love looking into all aspects of his life, whether it's music, his personal life, his outfits, because he was just so complex. And so like nuanced and so interesting that even till this day, Elvis still rings out.
Definitely. All right, what you got next there, Angry?
Speaking about timeless, I got "Hit the Road" by Ray Charles. I mean, I don't have to explain Ray Charles. He's Ray Charles, one of the greatest of all time. Ray Charles is a staple. He was a staple in my household. I feel like that's the same way for anyone that's black. Like Ray Charles and. Stevie Wonder and, all those guys, like, those are just, there was never a time where, like, I discovered, like, Ray Charles it just was around, like, like, it's kind of, like, in you. And, yeah, when it came to, like, this was, like, one of the first songs that came to mind, because everyone has heard this song, you've heard it in commercials, you've heard it in NBA games when someone gets fouled out, this is the song that they play. Yeah, I feel like it's one of those ubiquitous songs that, even if you've never heard of Ray Charles, which would be at this point, I think, somewhat shocking. Although as we get older, I can see how the further away you get from when someone was around, like the less people will know. I feel like this is one of those songs where, yeah, like you've heard this song at least once, even if you don't know it was from Ray Charles. You have heard this song in some capacity.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
What you say?
Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
Oh woman, don't treat me so mean. You're the meanest old woman that I've ever seen. I guess if you say so, I'll have to pack my things and go.
That's right, hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
What you say?
Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
Now, baby, listen, baby, don't you treat me this away, 'cause I'll be back on my feet someday.
Don't care if you do, 'cause it's understood. You ain't got no money, you just ain't no good.
Well, I guess if you say so.
I think it's pretty interesting that you just played off a little less conversation, because I feel like this song is like the opposite. That's what's funny about this song is that as much as people play it and use it in different ways, like if you listen to the lyrics, it's actually the opposite. Right, like the woman's telling Ray Charles, "Get out of here! Like I want nothing to do with you." And what's funny is like if you listen to along, you hear Ray he's kind of almost like incredulous. He's like, "What you say? Like you don't mean that. You don't want me to go, really?" And so I always find that aspect of the song so funny. And also too, like I think Ray plays it off so well. Like he's just gobsmacked that this woman has does not want him, and he doesn't even want to leave. Not even that he wants her back. He's just kind of like, really? You're saying no to me?
Yeah, it's one of our finest and most enduring breakup songs for sure. No matter what era you're in or what kind of music that you make, there is a universal element to someone telling their partner, "Get the fuck out! You're a bum. Leave."
Yeah.
And this was a big hit too, #1 on the charts and a Grammy winner as well. Mm-hmm. So there's not much I could say to really add to the legacy of this song because it's already got a pretty big legacy. But yeah, Ray Charles, I'm not super well versed on his catalog.
Yeah.
But this is definitely one of the songs that I do know.
Mm-hmm.
And one that's always going to be tied to him, forever as far as like his most, well-known songs for sure, Angry.
Yeah, and it's one of the songs I think people associate him with the most. And I think similar to Elvis, like another guy who's just there's a lot to him. I mean, there was the movie that came out in the early 2000s with Jamie Foxx. Jamie did a great job playing him. So I feel like, there's a lot more to Ray Charles than this song. There's a lot of classics. And again, he's another guy that he's not as, ubiquitous or big nowadays maybe as like Elvis. But I feel like this is someone where if you're this is basically like one of your like people would say like your musician's favorite musician. I mean, again, it's still Ray Charles. Everyone knows, a lot of people know who Ray Charles is, but usually when musicians bring him up, there's always like a reverence for like, yeah, this guy his voice was so good, so good at technique wise. Definitely someone that is a legend in every sense of the word. And this song is a song, just like we were talking about how like Elvis is someone who's going to live on. I feel like this song is going to live on until, however long this world lasts because of, just the essence of it. And also, I think also Ray's kind of wittiness, because there's a version of this song where maybe someone could, maybe a little more crass and less charismatic, but Ray is so charismatic in like his like responses. I think that's what kind of lives on. Also, and it's one of the greatest like choruses of all time. So catchy. Hard not to get stuck in your head.
Yeah, for sure. All right, gonna play something very different now. This is a lady named Lauren Mayberry. She is the lead singer of the band Churches, spelled Chvrches, Chvrches, as I call them. Her first solo album came out late last year called Vicious Creature, and this song is called Sorry, Etc.
Myself to be one of the boys. I lost my head to be one of the boys. I bit my tongue to be one of the boys. I sold my soul to be one of the boys. Ego trip, make the big man bigger. Look at you now, you're a bona fide figure. You paint your face, want a glorified sinner. It's just a shimmer. It's only wrong if you do it and you get caught. Don't cry, we're just getting to the good part. Boy, having you and me is such a good sport. I'm sorry, Sarah, I'm sorry, Sarah. Synthetic adoration, big beats and smoking guns. Wash off the information. Are you still having fun? I killed myself to be one of the boys. I lost my head.
So Churches is primarily a synth pop, electronic pop kind of band. But like I said with Hayley Williams, with her solo work there, she branched out a little more into other stylings. And this is a good example of that. It's darker, it's harsher, it's more drum and bass oriented, more rock oriented. And it's about her experiences being in a band with guys. One of the boys, as the song says, synthetic adoration, big beats, and smoking guns. And, similar to Haley, I do prefer the Churches sound.
Yeah.
I do prefer the synth pop stuff a little bit more there. But I dig this song, too. It's pretty good there, Angry.
Yeah, I know Churches. So when I saw the name, when you sent the list, I was like, oh, I didn't, for some reason, I was like, I didn't really expect that. But no, I do like this. I feel like this song would be like perfect on like a movie similar to like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World,
Yeah, that works.
That's the first thing that came to mind. I was like, this fits right into that movie. But I think there's something, I don't know, like there's something really cool about people who are like in a band who are just, you know what, I'm just gonna do like a solo thing, or I'm just gonna do something like on the side, There's something like really cool about that. And yeah, like I like the energy of this song. It just, to me, I'm like, this song should be in like any like action TV show where like there's like a montage where like someone, like a woman or whatnot, it's like clearing out the room, or like they're trying to chase somebody. It just feels like it belongs in one of those like TV shows.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just watched Thunderbolts the other day, so it could have worked in there for one of the Florence Pugh sequences, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
would fit right in.
Yeah. But Lauren actually put out a new version of this a few months ago with Joe Talbot from the band Idols, where they make it a duet, which puts a new spin on it. And the name they gave it was Sorry, Etc., Etc., which I thought was kind of cute there.
That's
so.
clever.
Yeah.
I'm curious to listen to the duet version of that, because obviously that would have a different tone and a different connotation to it. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's also a pretty good song. Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I'll check that out.
All right. What's your next pick there, Angry?
All right, next pick, He's So Fine by the Cliftons. Again, similar to Ray Charles, like the Cliftons are someone that just was a staple in the household. I think of like them and the Supremes. This song, I really enjoy the song because, like, it's just, like, classic song from that era of, like, also, too, like, I just really love, like, those all-women music groups. Again, similar to, like, the Supremes, because the Supremes come to mind. And there's just something about, I also like, you'll hear it in the song, but I feel like it's such a cool, like, I'll say like romantic song, but like it's very like it's like upbeat, and like this was one of the songs that I listened to a lot growing up.
Well, before I play it, I do have to say it's the Chiffons, not the Cliftons.
Oh,
so I do have to put that in, but still a good song.
I always called them the Cliftons.
Yeah, but all right, here we go.
Doo-lang, doo-lang, doo-lang. Doo-lang, doo-lang. He's so fine. Doo-lang, doo-lang, doo-lang. Wish she were mine. Doo-lang, doo-lang, doo-lang. That handsome boy was there. One with the wavy hair. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna make it mine. Be the envy of all the girls. It's just a matter of time. He's a soft-spoken guy. Also seems kinda shy. Makes me wonder if I should even give him a try. But then again, he can't shine. He can't shy away forever. And I'm gonna make him mine. If it takes me forever. He's so fine. Oh yeah. Gotta be mine. Oh yeah. Sooner or later. Oh yeah. I hope it's not later. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just love this song. How like the girls are just like, oh, this guy is so good. He's so dreamy. Like I'm gonna make that guy mine. Like, and just listen off his characters. Like he's so sweet. He's so kind. There's just something, I don't know. Like I always enjoy because in my mind I can picture like a woman just being like, I really like that guy, and her girls are like, tell me more. Yeah, we so agree. And so yeah, I enjoy it from that aspect. And the Chiffons are, obviously super talented. And yeah, like I can listen to a Chiffon song anytime. Like they're great.
Yeah, when I saw you put this on your list, I thought, that name sounds familiar. And then I put the song on, and I was like, oh, it's that song.
Uh-huh.
Because this is the song that George Harrison's My Sweet Lord allegedly plagiarized. And
Yes.
there was a whole court case or whatever, and it's hard not to just think of My Sweet Lord when I hear this song, which is a shame because it's a great song and a number one hit in its own right. But it'll always be tied to George Harrison for the rest of the time, unfortunately, there, Angry. So
Yeah, I forgot all about that case. Yeah, like you're right. This is that song. I mean, I'll let the people decide for themselves if you listen to it side by side. Whether I mean, put it this way: I don't blame the Chiffons for saying, "Now hold on, wait a minute." I don't blame them for that. That's all I'll say.
Mm-hmm. I think the ruling was he subconsciously stole from it. Like he didn't mean to. He just kind of it just kind of happened. But just
okay.
one of those
So it wasn't
things.
like a since we're sticking to wrestling, it wasn't like a situation where like Dave Grohl listens to WCW and DDP comes out and he's like, "Wait a minute." And then Jimmy Hart's like, "Oh wait, no. It doesn't go dun 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 dun. It goes dun dun dun."
I changed a few notes, Daddy. Come on, now.
Yeah. Like that's not the same song. What do you mean? So it wasn't one of those situations. Okay.
Yeah, I think he ruled in their favor, but but this is also it's one of the classic stories where they record the song, they think it's going to be a hit, and they shop it around, and nobody wants it. Mm-hmm. And according to Wikipedia, the producers went to 10 labels, and they all turned it down until finally they went to this one label, and the story goes the label heard it, and they locked the doors and said, "You're not leaving until you give us this song." Yeah. And the rest is history. So, yeah, there you go.
I mean, they had the ear for it. They knew.
Yeah. All right, let's stick to the 60s here with my next pick. This is one of the big British invasion bands, the Yardbirds. And I went with a song from 1966. This is off of an album with a few different names. In the UK, it's called Yardbirds. It's called Roger the Engineer as well. But I went with the song that was also made the name of the album in the States. And this song is called Over Under, Sideways, Down.
Cars and girls are easy come by in this day and age. Laughing, joking, drinking, smoking till I spent my wage. When I was young, people spoke of immorality. All the things they said were wrong are what I want to be. Hey! Under, sideways, down. Hey! Slow and square and round. Hey! Under, sideways, down. Hey! Slow and square and round. When will it end? When will it end? Hey! Hey! I find comment about my looks irrelativity. Think I'll go and have some fun, 'cause it's all for me.
Yeah, just a fun little song there. Kind of a fun little mix of like rockabilly, psychedelic, blues rock. I really like that main kind of frolicky guitar melody there. And I actually first heard this song in the Seth Rogen movie Observe and Report, where he plays a mall security guard. A very funny movie. It's done by Jody Hill, who is one of Danny McBride's partners. They also did Eastbound and Down, Righteous Gemstones, Vice Principals, The Foot Fist Way. And this song was used in a montage where Seth Rogen and Michael Pena just run amok, which works really well because it's about debauchery and decadence and cars and girls, drinking, smoking, immorality. And there's just an overall carefree vibe to the whole thing. I never really dug into the Yardbirds catalog like I have the other big British invasion bands like Beatles and Stones and whatnot, but I'm still very much aware of their legacy and their importance to music. Angry.
Yeah. This song reminded me of like another song that I don't know. Maybe I'm off base on this. So like, do you know like "Rock This Town" by the Stray Cats?
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like some of the melody, like especially like the way, like you said, the carefree aspect, it reminded me of that song. And I love that song. That song's a classic. And funny enough, the first time I heard that song, I was like 9 years old because that song's on Guitar Hero 2, and that song,
really,
like that game exposed me to like a whole other genre of music. So I feel like this song is like right along with that. Kind of you're saying like the rockabilly aspect. It's very carefree. I feel like it's very loose too. Like you can kind of like you could just tell like this is just from like the people who are playing it and the lyrics. It's very like you said, very carefree, very and I think that gives it such a cool aspect.
Yeah, like I said, Yardbirds, I'm not too big into them, but I will say the lineup of this band is pretty impressive over the years because they had Eric Clapton in there, they had Jeff Beck in there who's on this song, and they had Jimmy Page in there too. Ooh. They were all in this band at one point or another, and that's a pretty impressive trio of guys right there, Angry.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like because this is wrestling. What would be like I feel like I'm Bill Simmons trying to think of an analogy. But yeah, like I mean Clapton and Page in there. Ooh, that's a list. That's a duo right there for sure.
Definitely. All right. So what is your second to last pick there?
All right. Speaking of trios, I'm going to go with Haim, Man from the Magazine. This is from their last album, Women in Music Part 3. Haim is one of my favorite musical acts at the moment. Love Haim. And I really I think what I enjoy about Haim is that on the surface, you look at these three sisters and you're thinking like, oh yeah, they sing like, they're probably like a pop trio. They probably sing a lot of like light songs. But I think what I've always appreciated about Haim is there's like a bite to them. There's an edge to them. And I feel like this song perfectly describes like kind of that edge that they bring. And because really it's just Danielle who's like, she's the main she's the main vocalist of the sisters, really just like going off on some of the sexist double standards they get from like when they do like when they do like interviews and stuff. So I love how like they dedicated a song in their last album to just basically like, all right, we want to set the record straight. We want to go off. We want to do like want to be like CM Punk on Brawl Out. Like we want to address some people.
Man from the magazine, what did you say? Do you make the same faces in bed? Hey man, what kind of question is that? What did you really want me to say back? What's going on behind those dark glasses? Is this what you think, making it passes? Wondering which door could get me out fastest. When I tell it now, I don't want to hear. It is what it is, it was what it was. I don't want to hear. It is what it is, it was what it was. You don't know how it feels. You expect me to deal with it till I'm perfectly numb. But you don't know how it feels. Man from the music shop, I drove too far for you to hand me that starter guitar. Hey girl, why don't you play a few bars? Oh, what's left to prove? I don't want to hear. It is what it is, it was what it was.
Yeah, it's just a great song. That if you go a little towards the end of that song, Danielle just says like, this is how it feels to be the cunt, and she like the way she emphasizes it is very powerful. But no, I feel like this is a song that one of those songs the reason why I love Haim, because like I said, I also too I love too just from a musical standpoint, because this is very like acoustic. They can I like how they kind of bounce around where they do pop, and then they could do a little folky, and then they could just do like straight like 90s R&B. Like some of the singles they've put out for this new album that's coming out, just straight out of classic 90s. You could see those songs on like something like Clueless or even something like Moesha, I think of. So I just love like their versatility, and I also love that there's like a real fearlessness with these three, and they're not afraid to step out of maybe like what you. Yeah, I think they're the perfect example of they're more than what they seem. Like if you look at them, like I said, if you look at them from a lineup, you may think of one thing, and then you listen to them, you realize there's a lot with them.
Yeah, I'm not just a paramoron, I'm also a Heimster, for sure. I enjoy their stuff a lot. And even though this isn't one of their more, poppy, more rousing songs, it's certainly one of their angriest. It's got that, not just acoustic guitar work in there, aggressive acoustic guitar work. And like I said, she drops the old C-bomb at the end there. Because, look, I don't know what it's like to be a woman in an all-woman band, but I'm sure having to deal with misogyny from reporters, from promoters, from producers, from music store people, it's probably really fucking annoying, I imagine. Yes. Female artists and bands have been dealing with this stuff for decades. Barracuda by Heart is based on the record company making up this fake story about Anna and Nancy Wilson being lovers, for God's sake. So, this shit's been going on for a very long time, unfortunately. But still, great song. And I'm a big Haim fan myself there, Angry.
Big fan of them too. I feel like they are one final note. What I'm hoping for, I think what I love Haim. What I'm waiting for is a classic. I feel like that's the last thing they need. I feel like they're like any like upper mid Carter who has a lot of good matches. They're starting to cut good promos, but you're just waiting for the one. You're waiting for the one match. You're like, all right, this person is a main eventer. They could be a face of the company, world champion. I feel like that's the one thing Haim is missing.
Mm-hmm.
They need an album. They need a classic. I hope this next one coming up is the one that cements them as, all right, we are we are one of the best. You know.
I was gonna say it's a good pick, good timing on your part with this pick here because they announced their new album called "I Quit."
Mm-hmm.
Another wrestling reference there in a way.
Yeah.
This June, so that's pretty cool. It does feel like yesterday that the first album came out.
Yep.
And I remember hearing the first song of theirs I heard, it was The Wire.
Yep.
And I remember hearing that for the first time and thinking, what the fuck you do that for? Now we're short the nine. I didn't think that. I thought, hey, this band has got something here. And it turns out I was right. And they're Jewish too. So, Chaim is Hebrew for life.
Yeah.
So, score one for the chosen people there.
It's true. And they're branching out too. Like Elena's doing like movies. Like I thought she should have been. She was an Oscar snub for Licorice Pizza. Like going into that year, like people thought that she was going to be nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Didn't happen. I thought she should have been nominated for it. Mm-hmm. But just for that to be her first movie, again, just shows you just how talented these girls are.
Yeah. Now I'm just picturing Alana Haim just shooting someone in the head. That was for Joe.
She's gonna be in a movie coming up. Another one with Paul Thomas Anderson. I think it's like later this year. I know Leo's in the movie.
Oh yeah. What's it called? One Battle After Another. That's what it's called.
Yeah. That's what makes me wonder too. Like if her acting career picks up, like how long do these albums come out? Because this is gonna be almost 5. It's gonna be 5 years since Women in Music 2 Part 3 into this album. So I that's the one thing I wonder. Again, similar to like The Rock is a big star, but like he's flirting with Hollywood. Yeah, does he leave? Does he leave? Or so I wonder that with Alana, with how well she did in her first movie role. Like if she continues to do well, how does she balance the two? Or that's something I'm curious about.
Yeah. All right, so my second to last pick here. This is a newer band from Chicago called Beach Bunny. Not Bad Bunny, that's a different kind of bunny. This is Beach Bunny. And this is from their debut album from 2020 called Honeymoon. And this song is called Cloud 9.
I don't wanna seem the way I do, but I'm confident when I'm with you. Lately all I feel is bad and bruised, tired of tripping on my shoes. But when he loves me, I feel like I'm floating. When he calls me pretty, I feel like somebody. Even when we fade, eventually the nothing, you will always be my favorite form of writing. When I start to tumble from the sky, you remind me how to fly. Lately I've been feeling unalive, but you bring me back to life. But when he loves me, I feel like I'm floating. When he calls me pretty, I feel like somebody.
Yeah, just a really nice love song there. One of the terms used to describe Beach Bunny on their Wikipedia page is bedroom pop, which I think is very fitting because there's an innocence there. There's a youthful pizzazz to their whole vibe, I think, going on there. I discovered Beach Bunny a few years ago. Case Low threw their name out there, and I gave them a spin, and I liked it a lot. It's just a very straightforward indie pop rock band. And when I say straightforward, I mean it. They do not faff about because a lot of their songs are in that 2.5 minute range. In fact, this album has 9 songs on it. Only 2 of them are above 3 minutes. And the whole album is 25 minutes long.
Oh.
So, if any modern band fits the bill for this episode, it's them, Angry.
Yeah, they're nice and tidy. They're like match 3 on a like match 1 on a Dragon Gate show. They just go in and out, come in and out. I've heard this band before. Like when I heard that voice, I was like, I definitely have Shazammed the song, and it was and it came up with Beach Body. I'm gonna check my Shazam. I definitely have heard a song, but no, I like it. I like that it's very light. I like that. Again, I like the vocals. Like, and yeah, I'm always into like new music. That was one of the things I really enjoyed being in like the music league. So like on the Discord, like me and Rich, we were part of this music league where every week there was like a category, and we had to like submit a song that fit the category, and I felt like that was like really helpful because I got exposed to like a lot of like new music or like music that I may have never heard of. So I always appreciate when there's like a new addition or like something new that I've listened to. So yeah, I'm like you were spurred on by Case. I'm spurred on by you. Like after this, I'm gonna check out some more Beach Bunny because I mean nothing I love more than nine tracks on an album, 25 minutes. It sounds great.
Yeah, they put out a new album a few weeks ago, actually, called Tunnel Vision, and it's pretty good. You know, it's basically more of the same as this. They haven't really changed up their style all that much, but if you like, nice pop rock songs like this one, give it a whirl. And that's also really short, just 30 minutes. So, a little bit longer than this album, but, baby steps there, Angry, for sure. So, yeah. But all right, what's your final pick of the episode there?
Yeah, so the final pick is Untitled 04. Technically, it's Kendrick Lamar. Really, it's SZA and J-Rock, but also Kendrick Lamar. This is part of the album, but not really an album, Untitled Unmastered, which is really just the songs that Kendrick recorded during To Pimp a Butterfly, but did not make the album. So it's funny, I was talking about like Haim, about like, I think they're really great, but they don't have a classic. Now we're switching to a true main eventer, and arguably you can argue he's currently the number one artist in the world, based on like what he did to Drake. But no, it's funny, out of all those songs, like when I say like Untitled Unmastered is like basically the leftovers or the throwaways from To Pimp a Butterfly. In no way does that mean quality. I feel like all those songs in their own right are really good. And it's funny, like Untitled 4 is kind of a song, but not really. It's more like more of a skit. And yet I feel like out of all the songs, it's not my favorite, but I feel like out of all of them on this, whatever you would call it, an album or a track or a playlist or whatever, this is probably like the only one where I'm like, I feel like I could have seen this be on To Pimp a Butterfly.
What about when you tried to do a side for that? They tell me that my bills past due. Talk about the church. And preacher man don't always tell the truth. Cool. But head is the answer. Head is the future. Don't second guess yourself. Don't tell them to second guess yourself. You never got. Come on, give me some help. Hey. It's the answer. It's the answer. Do it for the future, girl.
Don't second guess yourself.
Come on, give me some help.
I just wanna I just wanna straight up. Eyes with my head.
Yeah, so like it's really like a skit, but like throughout the whole song, it's really SZA that's doing the lyrics, and then the whisper is Kendrick. Mm-hmm. Kendrick is like he's like being the devil, like. And I think that fits the theme of like To Pimp a Butterfly, where a lot of that is Kendrick talking about like Uncle Sam, a lot of talking about like Satan, and how like he's trying to like influence like basically us, black men to spend all their money, believe in all these things that are going to lead them to ruin. And yeah, I feel like also another thing about this quote unquote album is that a lot of these songs where I said Untitled Unfor, they usually also have like some type of date, which would which explains the date is like whenever it was recorded. So I forget the date for a title for, but it's interesting because you get SZA at a time where it's 2 years before Control, where she really breaks out. Obviously, this is Kendrick coming off of Good Kid, Mad City, which made him an overnight superstar. And it's in a way that we don't really see anymore, I think, from a music standpoint, where he was like on the come up, but when that album dropped, it was like the next day, all right, he is a star by everyone, not just by people who like hip hop, but like everyone. I really enjoy this quote unquote song. It's probably the only song that I think could have made To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, for a show hosted by a guy who is on the record for not being a big rap guy, I think the artist who's been played the most on the show since we started the remix format is Kendrick Lamar, the biggest rapper in the world. So it's funny how that just works out. What's not funny is this song. I found this to be a very unsettling song. Mm-hmm. The mix of SZA's voice, very beautiful voice, with Kendrick's, whispering and the echoey effects and the sparse music in the background. It's very anxiety inducing, even for a demo or a skit or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, as someone who is used to like the more up Kendrick songs, it's a good reminder that he can be pretty scary when he wants to be, for sure, Angry.
Yeah, and this might be a hot take for people. I don't think Untitled Unmastered is like his best work. Again, I don't know how you really count it. It's not really. It's probably my favorite Kendrick like listen, because I don't know, I feel like there's something really cool about as you listen to it, because it's 8 songs, quote unquote songs, and I think there's something cool about like hearing someone like you could hear him literally like working on. You could see him working on it. You could hear like, I'm trying this different sound. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna do this with SZA. Like, there's something cool about like the raw, and it's raw. I think that's the thing. It's like it's exactly what do you call it? It's Untitled Unmastered. It's raw, and I think there's something cool about like, all right, this is like, again, like I was talking about, he's sharpening the sword to what will become like such a massive. I mean, till this day, a classic, To Pimp a Butterfly. So I think that's why I really enjoy Untitled Unmastered as my favorite, because of like, how often do we hear like artists like release like a B-side of an album that was like unanimously critically acclaimed, Mm-hmm. It's like we're in the studio of like, all right, I can see how maybe he didn't want to put this song on here, but I can see how he made this other song that was on that album,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I'm going to listen to Kendrick and SZA, I'm probably going to listen to All the Stars from the Black Panther soundtrack more than this one. That's a great song. It's also an actual song, too, which helps. And speaking of, that was the song that introduced me to SZA. And I know I like to make the joke on this show about Brian Alvarez spelling out all caps names, EITA or whatever. But I genuinely thought at first that the name was SCA. So I will admit to not being any better than Mr. Alvarez on that front there, Angry.
There's people. You go the other way where people thought, wait, is she like a Wu-Tang member? Because there's SZA,
RZA,
RZA, yeah. One last note. I think there's something a lot of really pro wrestling about like Kendrick and SZA, because like I said, also towards the end, like that other like vocal is J-Rock, who's like a rapper who was a part of TDE. Kendrick has moved on. They remind me, like, there was a time where they remind me like a Dragon Gate unit, where it's Kendrick, it's SZA, it's J-Rock, it's Schoolboy Q, it's Absol. Like, these 5-6 people were like together for like a long time, and they felt very tight knit. They felt just like the Jimmys in a way, like with Susumu and Kagetora and Horiguchi and Saito. Like, those guys formed a unit in 2012, and they lasted 5.5 years, and they only added like 2 people. And those, I think that's why the Jimmys resonated, because those guys were so tight knit and so close, and they came up together too. Like, they were part of M2K or Do Fixers. I feel like the same thing with TDE, where like Kendrick, SZA, J-Rock, like those guys are stars now, but they came up together And you can kind of see that here, where throughout this quote unquote album, all those guys are like sprinkled around. So there's something really cool and really pro wrestling about that.
So what you're saying is they should change their names to Jimmy Lamar, Jimmy SZA, Jimmy Rock. You know, all the Jimmys, all the stars are here, all the stars.
I would love Kendrick, quote unquote, Jimmy Lamar, like Rio,
Jimmy Saito. Yes. Well, all right. So my last pick here. This is The Police, and this is their first single ever. It was never on a studio album, only compilations later on. In fact, it's so early, it's got their original guitar player, a guy named Henri Padovani, and it was also, apparently, before they ever played a single concert, they made this single here. This is from 1977, and it's a song called Fall Out.
I saw my education, it was my indoctrination just to be another cog in machine. Oh, it's hard to break it when I mix with other people, cause I knew that I was not very clean. Fall out, leaders and guys. Fall out, leaders and guys.
Yeah, we talked about how, frantic and machine gun like Stone Cold Crazy is. Here's another good example of just a frenzy of a song. You know, this is not King of Pain. It's not Every Breath You Take. That's for sure. This is straight up punk rock Police. Like I said, it's the earliest Police that we have, and it's just so wild and so fast and so punk. I'd wager that a lot of people who are familiar with the Police probably haven't heard this song at all. Angry.
I have. I count me as one of them. Cause when I heard the Police, the first thing I think of is Every Step You Take, and then I also think about how like Diddy takes that and does I'll Be Missing You with Biggie. But yeah, like there seems to be a theme of like some of these bands where like when they start off, at least like around this time, because the Police would have been around similar time as Queen, like in the mid 70s, where very frantic, balls to the wall, and then you get to like the things that the songs that they're known for. It's a lot more like mellowed out, more dramatic, more like higher upscale in terms of like presence. So I think again, I guess it's similar to like in wrestling, right? Where you have like, someone like Will Ospreay who comes in, who's just super athletic. He wants to go all out all the time. And then as time goes on, he learns some nuances. He continues to, he has natural talent, and he continues to grow, and then he becomes, the best wrestler in the world, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to hear, again, another band, like, kind of start off frantic, very fast-paced, and just knowing, like, what, like, the things that they become known for later on, and how just the contrast,
Yeah. Yeah, it's fitting that this is their first single, because the song was written by Stuart Copeland, the drummer, and it's about not fitting in, and not going along with your peers, or what the leaders say, which sounds punk rock for sure, but the band itself never really fit into that punk rock scene. They didn't really have the street cred, quote unquote, and as we see, the band, like you said, grows up and matures, and they incorporate reggae, they incorporate new wave, they incorporate pop into their sound. So this song is, essentially a good representation of the band itself, even though it sounds nothing like the band itself later on. So it's kind of a weird kind of, kind of ironic, yeah.
And it's even different than the first song I know them of. Like, I want to know if you would know this. So again, Guitar Hero 2, the first Police song I ever heard was Message in a Bottle.
Yep.
That song's on there. When was that? Was that 81? Just off the top of my head. I know this song.
That was, I believe it was the second album.
Okay.
So which was 79.
Okay, so even then, like, compare this song to, like, Message in a Bottle, which was a hit, you know? Like, again, different tone, too, right? Because Message in a Bottle is very, like, again, you can see it's kind of dramatic.
Very wistful, yeah.
Very wistful, very dark, yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting that already, like, you compare this song to even, like, what the first song I knew of. Like, within that 2-year span, you can already see the maturation. I always think that's really cool when you can see a band in their totality of, like, all right, this is what the sound they were going with. This is the sound that they progressed to. And then this is how they keep going and keep going.
Yeah, I've said this before when I played the Police on here, but a very short lifespan with that original run. I think, around a decade maybe, of just 5 albums. They changed so much with their sound over the course of those 5 albums. And again, in a very short time span. So, a lot of bands, they take time to, grow and grow and grow. But with these guys, it was super quick. So, for sure. But all right, those were our picks. That was the episode. I believe this episode is at least 3 times longer than all of the songs we picked put together. That's how short our songs were. But still, just a really, really fun time here. Angry, your debut was a smash hit. Big success. Great job, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like I said, when you hit me up about wanting to do this, I just felt so honored that you would want to want me on the show. Like, I always loved music on the mat, so I was like thrilled. I was like, great. I love listening to this podcast. I love the episodes. So I felt really honored that you even like wanted me to be on. So I want to say thank you for that. Like, I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate the kind words for sure. Any plugs you want to give? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I guess. All right. So like, I'm in the Voices of Wrestling Discord. I'm in the Dragon Gate. I may watch some Dragon Gate here. That's why I told Rich, I may dabble in some Dragon Gate here and there. I've been a fan since I was 13. I just turned 30 a couple months ago. So I'm always there every week. It used to be Mondays, but now I go to school. Plus, I've been married for now a year, so I try to prioritize time. But right now, every Wednesday, I do something called a Match of the Week, inspired by when Lanza was doing the Match of the Week, where he would take a match from history, maybe that was like relevant to what's going on in wrestling, or just something he wanted to pick, and he would just write up like the backstory where the wrestlers were at that time, and like, so I've done a similar thing for it'll be the 3-year anniversary in a couple weeks. So if you want to come on the Dragon Gate channel for Wednesdays, you can learn. The goal is to teach people about Dragon Gate, especially since there's new fans, and there's a lot of really cool like matches or really, really cool things that the company is doing now that they've done like in the past. So I do that, and then I'm always in the sports channel, especially now since it's playoff season. I watch a ton of basketball, so I like to give like, I guess, live commentary on like my thoughts, things that the other team is doing, maybe the other players are doing, because I feel like a lot of the basketball talk, you don't get a lot of like the nitty gritty. And not that I'm an expert, but I like to highlight like that aspect of it, like the tactical aspect, maybe the teach thing. So I'm in the sports channel, I'm in the Dragon Gate channel, and
Yeah, we are 2 different people, because you'll be typing up a storm with all these comments like, oh, great defense there, really put him on the back foot. And I'll be like, wow, cool. We won, hooray. Like that's my contribution to the sports talk,
like,
I
holy
guess.
shit.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, it's a great balance. You need
that's pretty much it, yeah. But yeah, Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. All the great shows on there. Voicesofwrestling.com for previews, reviews, articles, things like that. Bluesky, at Music of the Mat, at Just Andrew. If you want to leave a comment about this episode, share your picks. Like Angry said, voicesofwrestling.com/Discord. It's also where I post the Spotify playlist for each episode. And, of course, subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, your podcast player of choice, and leave a nice rating and review. All right, the playout song here. I went with Foo Fighters. This is off of their double album, In Your Honor. And this song comes in at just a shade under 2 minutes. This is a song called Hell. Thanks again, Angry.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
This state I'm in, a place I've never been. I'm down to meet you here. Come break this skin. I'll let you sink right in and show you everything. Till in hell, we'll gather round the fire, and I will lead the choir. Sing farewell. Till in hell, come break my spell. We'll drown the wishing well. We'll find some time to kill.
Music of the Mat is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The songs used throughout this show are property of their respective copyright holders.
Hi, I'm Andrew Rich, and if you're like me, you look at the state of modern wrestling discourse and think, wow, what a cesspool. That's why I'm here to tell you about Music of the Mat Remix. That's right, your favorite wrestling music podcast is back with a new format, where I bring on a guest and we play songs related to wrestling-themed topics. It could be a wrestling reference, a wrestling concept, a wrestling pun, things of that nature. Now you might be saying, Andrew, that is a very, very tenuous connection to pro wrestling on a wrestling podcast network. Is this just an excuse to hang out with your friends and talk about music and ignore the rest of the wrestling landscape? Yes. Yes, it is. So listen to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast player of choice.
Men, if you're ready to reclaim your edge, listen up. I used to be held back by constant bathroom trips, with multiple wake-ups during my sleep and looking for restrooms whenever I was out. Then I discovered Better Man. After just 2 months, I started experiencing fewer trips to the bathroom, less urge to go, and I even slept through some nights. I feel a noticeable boost in my overall well-being, even sexual stamina. It gives me the freedom and confidence to live life on my terms. Better Man is clinically tested and trusted by thousands of men over 25 years. Ready to take back control? Go to BeBetterNow.com to order your supply today. That's BeBetterNow.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed. Individual results may vary.